Hello everybody, this is Chuck, and as always I want to thank you for stopping by my shop for another Screwy Tuesday. In the background here we have the Industro Lite vertical horizontal mill, and we're going to have some discussions about that. It's not ready to do a whole demonstration on it yet, but we're going to have some talk about that. I've got myself a little list here to discuss. And let's see, I'm going to talk about a couple of YouTube channels and I'll put their links. We'll kind of go through it quick. One is Four Ponds Shop, James. He had a whole video selection on rebuilding some 10EEs, and he hasn't posted in about a year, and he posted a couple of videos recently. And one of them, he's working on a bubble top Impala. And in that video, he also talks about the machining work that he's also doing. Really suggest to stop by and see his channel, subscribe to him, and he's looking at starting to get back on the horse and doing more videos. Awesome that he's working with his daughter, I think a 14-year-old daughter, on a Chrysler Hemi, and teaching her about it. So great guy and great channel, and very much of a craftsman. Really suggest seeing him. Second one is Almost Machining, Phil. If you watch Stan's channel, Phil is the lad or man that did the road trip with Stan. Heck of a nice guy. I've met him at the bash. We communicate every now and then, and his channel needs to grow, and so drop in and see him. And then the final one that I want to mention is, well, actually two, excuse me. We'll talk about this one real quick. PK Engineering, and Kinetic Precision is what it is. I'm sorry, PK, Kinetic Precision, and there's the little, what do you call it, that you can take a picture of. He makes precision flat stones, but he also makes, he calls them the NAS. And I ordered one from him, and he was kind enough in the order that I paid for. He sent me a second one. And when we do some surface grinding coming up, we'll talk about the product also. I've played with it already, and I think it's going to be a great addition to my coolant on the surface grinder. And then finally, the last one that I want to talk about is, and I mentioned in my last video, is Andrew Deere, Deere Machining. And I'll put a link to his YouTube channel. He doesn't have a ton of stuff up there, but heck, throw him a subscription and let's motivate him, and I bet you we can get some videos out of him. Now, Andrew, through communication and watching my video, and I think maybe I tried to get a hold of him on Practical Machinist to start this whole thing on the Industro Lite Mill, that he has one. And he was kind enough, since he has the same machine, he had the paperwork from when he bought his machine. And it's got all the general information about the machine, how to set up things. It's got a whole parts list. They also make a slotting head for this machine, a lathe attachment, a die filer. I only have the vertical head, and that's what we're going to kind of talk about here. The a blow up of the parts breakdown, and then there's the operating and maintenance instructions, and then there's also how to service the unit if you had to service it. Really a nice book. So also in here is a speeds and feeds chart. So there's 2 pulleys and 3 inside the head here for adjusting speeds. And I saw this and I go, that's great. And I played around already, moving the belts. And I said, every time I got to go pull this book out. Well, How about this? See it right there? Let's go to a video. Back from that video. So playing around with my laser, I managed to etch this piece of it's brass. This brass had some sort of coating on it. I don't know what it is. It's just something I had. But I managed to etch it in there, and so now I don't have to go to the book. When I open up to change speeds, it'll be right here in the cover. So really happy about that. Next is the vertical head. When I got it, there was no drive dog to operate the head through the spindle. Andrew did a drawing, since he has one. He did a drawing for me to create my own. It's a Morse Taper 3 with a drive dog on it, and the dog drives into this slot right there. Very nice of Andrew to send that to me. I've already machined it, and it's actually in there right now because I actually ran the head, but I didn't run it very long, and we're going to get into that. Again, Andrew, thank you very much. Very, very helpful. I didn't film making the dog, the drive dog, so we don't have that. But there's a part out of the head there. Well, I got to throw another thank you out. I had to take the head apart, and Dean, Air Cave Shop, my buddy, I asked Dean if he would help me. You know, I've rebuilt transmissions, I've built motors, and but I said, you know, it's not my cup of tea. And he does Volvo outdrives with his father, rebuilding lots of outdrives. And so I said, you know, I'd rather have somebody experienced helping me. So Dean and we did it over at his shop. We didn't film it. We had a great time taking it apart, and worked very well together. Well, the part of the reason it came apart was the seal was leaking, because it does have an oil bath in it. And you can probably see that seal right there. It fought hard to stay in place. So we got the seal out. We got the 3 seals out, and then this bearing, it's a double bearing. And it looks like there's some heat spots on it. I can't even turn it. And so when I actually ran the mill, I probably ran about 3 revolutions of the drive dog and stopped it. But so this bearing is on order through eBay, and the seals are supposed to show up tomorrow. Interesting, I go down to the bearing house an hour and a half to look up 3 seals. Why the guy, and they were having a problem trying to find the bearing. I felt like these guys are all from Home Depot or something. Sorry if any Home Depot viewers out there. I don't mean to insult anybody, but I wasn't having great confidence, almost to the point that I was going to leave. Then the fella said to me at one point, he goes, well, Jesus, 1 seal is $123. I said, I'm not going to be $123. He goes, well, it's 5 inches in diameter. Well, you can see it's not 5 inches. Finally, everything's on order. And the bearing, as I'm standing there at the counter, I found this on eBay, new stock, and ordered it right on eBay. So as soon as we get the parts, Dean said he'd be more than happy to come over, and maybe we'll film it putting it all back together. The other thing that I did, where'd it go? Right here. I don't have any T-nuts for this table, and so I made some, started making T-nuts, and we're going to flip to a little film. Back from that, that's the Procunier tapping head. It's always fun to pull that guy out and just tap holes, ever so simple. So the T-nut need to be cut up, but they're ready to go. Haven't done anything with modifying and cleaning up the head clamps that I made. I'm using them right now. There's one attachment here that I basically need something like this tool. I'm going to have to modify this. It's like a large screw head. That guy won't give it up. We tried it at Dean's with a hand impact, and I've tried it here with a hand impact, and since this will take a wrench or a drive bar, I'm going to modify this and try. I've been soaking it with Croil, and hopefully I will get it apart. Let's see. I've got another meet and greet scheduled. This is for California boys, mostly Northern California guys. And I think if I can get a flyer on the screen here for you, you'll see a flyer. But it's on the flyer, as I mentioned, it's a rare opportunity. It's a family estate, and the various shops and what is in the shops, either in a collection display or the amount of different tools, Caterpillar tractors. It's going to be just a fantastic meet and greet. So the flyer went out, and it's an open invite. You just have to RSVP to me. And then I guess I'll find out with my last discussion here how many people stayed on and watched the channel to the end of this. And I guess I'll probably see it in the comments. A little quick health news about myself. A week ago, not last Monday, the prior Monday, it's already been 20 days almost. Anyway, I had a stroke. My wife and I were out on a walk, and in the morning, we do it every morning, and was about 400 yards from home, and a neighbor went by, and I went to wave, and I couldn't put my hand up. It stopped right here. And I went, okay, just an old guy, sore, and we got home, and I walked by the shop door, and I said, I'm going to go in the shop for a while. It's like 7 o'clock in the morning. And I tried to put the key in the lock, and I got it in, but it wasn't like, go in. And I took a few steps into the shop and said, something's wrong, and I better not stay in here. If I happen to keel over and hit my head on some steel, I really had. So went in the house, wife and son were there, and I said, hey, something's screwed up. And it turned out these two fingers were bent like that, and I couldn't straighten them. They were just bent over. And if I held my hands up, of course, I couldn't hold them level. No facial issues or anything else. Went right to emergency. They started the protocol. The main thing when you have a stroke is it a bleeder? And if it's a bleeder, they have a 4-hour window where they give you medicine to stop the bleed. If you don't have a bleeder and they give you that medicine, it can really create some complications. So the whole decision was, am I a bleeder or not? Now, they opted not to give me the medicine, and I was not a bleeder. I didn't have a stroke that was a bleeder. I had something down deep in the left side of my brain, whether it was a clot or short fuse, really don't know. I've had an MRI that night afterwards, and then the next day they did a sonogram of the heart, or whatever that test is, and I don't have atrial. I'm not throwing clots. Passed all the physical stuff. Oh, so Monday morning this all took place, 7 in the morning. 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm sitting in the hospital bed. My wife and daughter are there, and I'd already eaten my lunch, and I go to move my hand, and I look and I go, "Some bitch is straight. Everything's back to normal." So basically, in X hours, I was back to normal. Subsequent to that, since being out of the hospital, I went out the next day, passed the PT stuff and all that, and they put me on a blood thinner, and then did more MRIs and MRAs, which the MRI the first night was just to look at the meat of the brain. The second ones were to look at the blood vessels and also look at my carotid arteries and stuff, and I pass all that. So other than that, just kick on and keep on going with life, and start working on the bucket list a little quicker. So that's it. If hope you enjoyed the video. There's a lot of just yakety yak here. There'll be machining again sometime here in the future. Always something happening, and I always appreciate your time stopping in on the channel here. Catch you soon. I guess next Tuesday, right? Take care.